Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sophie Alexander of the Nutritional Wellness Center, and I'm talking today about coping with stress and fatigue. And I am glad that you can join me. I feel like this is a really pertinent topic, an ongoing topic, and one near and dear to my heart. Many of you already know me and know my story of how I got involved with nutrition response testing and becoming a nutrition practitioner. But changing my nutrition and how I approach my body made a huge difference with my health in terms of handling chronic digestive issues, environmental allergies, blood sugar issues, and chronic Lyme disease. But that story was all quite a long time ago. It's been, I say often, it's been 12, 13 years of me doing nutrition response testing with my body. But it's amazing how it's such a journey, such a journey with life. I mean, I'm 3 children later now, owning a business now, about turning 40 this year, having more hormonal changes. Like there are so many different things that are constantly happening with our health. And I have really learned personally, and I'm continuing to work through, I'll be honest, about the impacts of stress and different stressors on the body, and how that can contribute to fatigue and so all sorts of symptoms. So I'm excited to be sharing this information with you today, and hoping that it also contributes to you being able to improve your health and just function more optimally in this world that we live in, particularly these past couple of years and all the additional stress being caused from the pandemic. So it is estimated that 8.3 million American adults suffer from severe stress and fatigue. So imagine if you're watching this today and joining me, you consider yourself one of them, and you're not alone. It's a really, I see as a significant issue, and one of the biggest things that clients talk to me about and reach out about is just how tired they are and how overwhelmed they are. So there can be many reasons why people are dealing with stress and experiencing fatigue. And what we have discovered, especially from the lens of nutrition response testing, is that anything can cause anything. And really what we have to find out is what's causing it for you. And it's with that we really get to the root of it for each individual and start correctly addressing it. But first, let's understand, what stress and fatigue are. They're new words just used so broadly, but I just want to make sure they're defined for everyone. So stress is the pressure, pull, or force exerted on one thing by another. So it's ongoing strain, it's ongoing worry. And fatigue is weariness from exertion, a weakening or a breakdown of material subjected to stress, especially repeated stress. And that's really the crux of it with modern life, is just this repeated stress and the chronicness of it, and the wearing down of our bodies with that repeated stress, and how much it contributes to so many health issues. So the symptoms of stress and fatigue, you're tired for no reason. You have trouble getting up in the morning, even when you go to bed at a reasonable hour, feeling run down or overwhelmed. You can't bounce back from a stressful experience or from an illness. You crave salty and sweet snacks, or you feel your best only after 6 p.m. That can be a major sign of a stress hormone cortisol imbalance. Yeah, so how does your body cope with stress and fatigue? Well, a big player is the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are part of our endocrine system, our hormone system. They're small glands the size of a walnut that sit upon our kidneys. And they mobilize our body's response to every kind of stress. So whether that be a physical stress response, an emotional stress response, a mental stress response, and they respond through the release of hormones. And these hormones regulate our energy production, whether our body is in more, storage mode, storing fat or burning fat. It regulates our heart rate, our blood pressure, our muscle tone, and just so many cascades of processes that help us cope with stress. And taking it one step further, really understanding the adrenal glands and the adrenal health really ties into a topic I've been talking about more and more recently, which is the mitochondria and mitochondrial dysfunction. And I find that this is key for most people for really understanding stress and fatigue response of the body. So I'll talk a bit more about the mitochondria. A large percent of your energy, about 90%, is produced by your mitochondria. So most cells in our body contain mitochondria. There are hundreds to thousands of them, depending on the cell. And so how well your mitochondria function determines your level of energy. And mitochondrial damage and loss of mitochondria can come from some factors that you might not be aware of or might not even have your attention on in terms of your health. But it plays such a huge role in whether you're experiencing fatigue. So different pathogens in the body, some examples being, they are getting talked about more, meaning like chronic Lyme, right? So some kind of pathogen the body's dealing with. Parasites that people are dealing with in their digestive systems, heavy metal exposures people have had over the course of their life, medications that people are on, and the severe oxidative stress that can happen from all of these things listed above. So when there's improper function of the mitochondria, this lowers our adrenal hormone production. And so then this is, you cope with stress less well, and you experience more fatigue. Fatigue is really a hallmark symptom of mitochondrial disease, and especially fatigue when that's really become chronic, like that you are doing many things that should be helping your fatigue, and it's not getting better. And cortisol, so one of the most well-known stress hormones, right, that we should not be producing all the time, but many of us are because we are in these chronic stressed states, right? Cortisol is produced in the mitochondria of the cells in the adrenal glands. So it's essential to address mitochondrial health when we're trying to alleviate the stress response, and how tired one is. So when the mitochondria stop working, you don't convert food properly into energy, and that energy is called ATP. And there are some cells that just require a lot of ATP, for example, like our muscles. And so when you're not making enough ATP, your muscles can feel weak, they get tired faster, you can't exercise as well as you used to, or it's just going about doing your day-to-day activities. You just feel worn out. So some other things to think about when you're thinking about things that damage the mitochondria and damage our adrenal glands and then impact their ability to handle all these hormone balancing and stress responses of the body is refined carbohydrates, particularly the ones found in all sorts of junk foods, right? The cookies, the cakes, the crackers, all those things that we actually crave when we're feeling just worn out. Physical and mental strain. Sleep deprivation is a huge one, right? I live this with a now 20-month-old third child. It's been 10 years of me not sleeping well, like just one child after another. And this in itself damages your mitochondria, your ability to recover, your ability to bounce back. And I think so many folks we're busy, we're trying to get a lot done. We have just so much of this physical and mental strain that we don't prioritize getting to bed on time, getting good quality sleep, really making sure that we are letting our body go into that reparative state. But there's some other interesting ones listed here. Noise pollution, chronic inflammation in the body, chronic pain response in the body, infections. We referred to that before, right? These sort of stealth, hidden chronic infections that can happen in the body. Malabsorption and maldigestion from all the digestive damage that happens with a modern diet, and the nutritional deficiencies that come from that. And I will be talking more about what those are and how you can counter that. And then the food sensitivities that also come from this digestive damage and malabsorption. So chronic stress really challenges our adrenal glands. If you think of constant stressful stimulation of the adrenals, really leads to adrenal exhaustion. I have read this a lot and hear this talked about a lot, that our hormone system was really designed for short-term, quick stress response, right? Like you're running away from a fire or some kind of damage. Like people often joke, like, oh, running away from a saber-toothed tiger back in the day, right? But just these quick spurts of energy and needing to mobilize our muscles and our heart rate and our blood supply and oxygenation so that we can get away quickly and we can respond fast. But having chronic stress exposures and kind of living in a chronically stressed state is not how our body was designed to work, right? There's no more quick spurt and then a recovery. And so if you think of the adrenals as if they were muscles, and the muscles contract when a need arises and then relax when the need passes, if you're not ever relaxing, if you even do this basic thing of trying to hold a small hand weight out straight from your body, it won't take long for your arm to fatigue and to go weak, because it's just not supposed to do that endlessly. So similarly, the adrenals respond to stresses, but they're not able to relax. We don't get ourselves into a rest and repair mode as regularly as we should. And so the adrenal glands fatigue and are not able to restore their strength and function. And so constant stressors, constant worries, whether they be mental worries or all these outside forces that impact us, lead to a loss of healthy adrenal function. So really building a solid foundation to help your body's natural ability to make energy and manage stress. It's vital. It's vital. And it's possible, right? That's the good news. After all, the overwhelm and the realization of this modern life that we live in and all these things that we are forced to handle on a regular basis and process and deal with. There are ways to build ourselves up. There are ways to counter the fatigue and the deficiencies that occur, so that we're much more able to handle it all. So big one that I talk to folks about is eating within an hour after waking. If you're someone who considers yourself dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of fatigue, I don't recommend fasting, and I don't recommend just being so busy that you're not able to prioritize eating a breakfast. Yeah. And I see that so much, especially with moms. We're making sure our children are fed. We're trying to get them out the door. We're trying to get ourselves out the door if we're a working parent, and we just don't eat. So, I'm guilty of putting everybody else first too, but at least while I'm feeding them, I am standing there eating some meat. And for me, I really prioritize having meat as the first thing that I eat when I wake up, because of the source of B vitamins and how well it balances my blood sugar for me. It helps me hold steady, and I'm just that much better able to juggle everything. So many people, will grab a quick, something quick that's usually carbohydrate based, doesn't have the good fats and the good protein sources. And so then they have a quick blood sugar spike, and then they drop and just feel even worse than if they hadn't eaten at all. So start your day, eat within an hour of waking up, and start it with protein. getting in enough vegetables, particularly organic veggies, right? As I mentioned earlier, toxicity exposures are part of one of the things that wear down our mitochondria and our ability to heal and repair. So organic leafy vegetables and just vegetables of color, purple, orange veggies. So we're getting a whole rich source of antioxidants and fiber, vitamins, minerals, which all contribute to the health of our adrenal glands and our stress response. And so it's a challenge for most people to get enough of them in your diet. And I really recommend using them as a base, right? So many people that we are working with, we are educating them to have less grains, less sugars in their diet. And one of the main ways to do that is to replace it with lots and lots of diversity of vegetables instead of the grains. Green smoothies can be a way to pack more in, or even greens powders. I'm totally a fan of organic greens in powder form, and you just drink it down, and that way you get all these amazing antioxidants and micronutrients. You don't get the fiber component when it's like that, but you do get all the micronutrients in a quick dose. And and the main thing to be looking for on the label, is that it's organic. But I am a fan of, there's one sold at Greens, no, it's Wegmans, one sold at Wegmans called Amazing Grass. And we carry a delicious one from Body Health that gives you your 6 servings of veggies a day, just in that one scoop. Electrolytes play a big role with mitochondrial function and with the stress response in general too. As I'll be speaking more about, most people don't get enough magnesium, they're not getting enough potassium. A lot of people aren't drinking enough water and dehydrated, so our cells are dehydrated. The electrolytes help bring the water into our cells, they charge the membranes of our cells, and they charge our mitochondria, so more nutrients can be transported for us to make the ATP, which is our energy. You can buy, there are sugar-free electrolyte options, more and more of them available now. It used to be just, all the nasty Gatorades. We carry one brand called Dr. Price in the office that's sweetened with stevia. And so that can be a great way to boost your electrolytes. I'm also just a big fan of good quality salt. I like the brand Real Salt, which is harvested from an ancient salt bed in Utah. So it is got over 80 essential trace minerals in it, along with the sodium. And so I like that brand particularly because it's just such a clean source and it comes from the United States. And I just see such great clinical results with it. So one of the biggest things, and usually one of the first things that I'm telling people to do when they're talking to me about their stress response and their fatigue, is to get more salt in their diet, but specifically the real salt, and to use it liberally and to use it when they're feeling tired. I have a thing that I call salt shots, where you take some extra salt, like either you mix it in a little bit of water, about 1/8 a teaspoon or so, and you just drink that down. Or my kids just like pour the salt on their hand and lick it off and say, "Mommy, I had a salt shot." And it's like, great, they obviously felt good. They needed it. It can really taste good when you need it. And it's a favorite thing of mine to do in that 3 p.m. slump when you're just wishing you had coffee or some kind of stimulant, sugar, you're looking for a food boost. A salt shot can actually be what you need and can perk you back up. All right, and then B vitamins. So B vitamins, there are a category of vitamins that are involved, really key in used in turning our food into energy. So they are vital for the biochemical reactions that create energy in our mitochondria. And without optimal levels of all your B vitamins, your body cannot effectively make energy. And if you have an imbalance in any one of them, it does negatively impact your energy production, right? And stress depletes our B vitamins, right? And often people are not getting enough of them, or they're getting really poor quality ones, synthetic, that are not a complete balanced profile of your B vitamins as they occur in food, which creates further deficiency. Some of your best food sources of B vitamins are eggs and red meat. And particularly organ meats are a really great source of Bs and especially B12. So I'm a big fan of organic liver and eating that. And if you're not excited about that, or you have a bad association with that, then supplementing with it, right? And we work with several different versions of whole food B vitamins or dried and powdered grass-fed organs in pill form, so that you can be getting that nutrition, but not having to taste it or cook it. But our local health food store, Green Star, sells some really great organic liver pates that I like a lot, and that's what I eat regularly to be getting these nutrients in my diet. The adrenal health packet that I was referring to earlier, that I'm gonna raffle off, contains one of my favorite formulas for adrenal dysfunction called Drenamin, and within that it contains a whole food B complex, and it's one of my favorite formulas for rebuilding the adrenal glands. All right, magnesium. Magnesium is a huge one. It's quite a rampant deficiency because, again, so many things deplete minerals in the body, such as refined carbohydrates, refined sugars, the stress response, that many people are deficient in magnesium. And magnesium is involved in hundreds of biochemical processes in our bodies, and our energy production being one of them. We use magnesium to convert carbohydrates and fats into energy. And also magnesium plays a crucial role in the actual structure of the form of energy that our mitochondria create, this ATP that I keep referring to. ATP binds to magnesium to create a functional form of energy that our bodies can use. And magnesium is also required by specific enzymes that work within the mitochondria to maintain their health and normal function. And so when there are magnesium deficiencies, they've been directly connected to dysregulation of this is called HPA axis. And that's a fancy term, right? That refers to the hypothalamus and pituitary, which are two glands in our brains, and the adrenals. And the axis means just how these three glands all talk to each other, regulate our hormones, regulate our stress response, and there's just all sorts of complicated feedback loops that happen within this axis. And magnesium just plays a crucial role in making sure that all regulates correctly, and we're not caught in a dysregulation of the HPA axis, which leads to a lot of hormonal imbalances and the cascade of a poor stress and fatigue response. Now I'm going to talk a bit about some of my favorite herbs that help with stress and fatigue management, and are in a classification of what are called adaptogenic herbs. And adaptogenic herbs in general as a category are herbs that help the body be adaptive, right? Adapt to stress response, have more stamina and resiliency in the face of stressors. So rhodiola has been shown to reduce stress symptoms and fatigue is one of my favorites to use. As I just said, it increases the body's resistance and resiliency. And it works on impacting the HPA axis that I was just talking about and our specific energy production systems, and helps to normalize the release of stress hormones like cortisol and boost energy production in the mitochondria. So, wonderful herb. Ashwagandha is another one of my favorites. I love how grounding and restorative it is, how it supports nervous system function and endocrine system function, can support better sleep cycles, can, yeah, nourishes the thyroid, nourishes the adrenals. Um, and I see it support mood, support energy response, and boost immune function, because these things are all connected. Um, and yeah, see people thrive on ashwagandha. Electro, which is also referred to as one of the ginsengs, is another favorite. Supports mental alertness and performance, concentration, helps reduce stress response, and help maintain healthy energy and stamina. And in traditional Chinese medicine, Electro root is used to invigorate our qi, and which is strengthening and nourishing to the body and balancing our vital energy. All right, and so then the ion detox foot bath is a tool that I've been just using more and more as I see clients just dealing with a larger and larger burden, larger and larger toxicity burden. So I referred to earlier how toxins, suppress our immune function, suppress our mitochondria function, and thus contribute, to our stress and fatigue response. And so the ion cleanse detox foot bath can be a really gentle but effective way to remove these barriers, support the body in removing these barriers, and thus reducing the body's overall burden. And it can be relaxing just in itself, right? And we all need, I think, to schedule in our lives these ways that we actually stop and pause and give our time for different forms of self-care. And so it's a 30-minute session. You sit with your feet in the warm water, and through the ion cleanse process, it pulls the toxicities out of the body and into the water. And clients use it as a time to relax, as a time to just be still and do in their busy day. It's recommended to do it with some frequency for a period of time, because it's just not a one-shot thing. So usually clients do it in groups of 7 visits, and they do the visits twice a week, and then take a little break and then revisit it. We have some clients though who, love it enough and see such a difference in a progression of what's getting pulled out of their body through the foot bath water, that they've just sort of done groups of visits after visits, and that's fine. You can, it is really an uphill battle to stay on top of all the toxicity exposures that we have accumulated and that we're currently being exposed to, even with best intentions and an intentional lifestyle. So it can be an ongoing tool to use. Oh, and this month, this is our Ion Cleanse sale month. So you can contact I don't have the details right in front of me. I should have, but contact our front desk and we can just tell you how you can get a discount on packages this month. And then of course, there's the nutrition response testing. And for me, this being my passion, but also just from what I've seen clinically, it is really the tool to get to the underlying cause of damaged adrenal and mitochondrial health. And whether that's damage to the digestive system or to the detox system or to the actual, hormonal system that we've been talking so much about, we use the nutrition response testing techniques to get to the bottom of it. So it's a non-invasive system to assist a practitioner's assessment of all the different underlying causes of ill health, and using these reflexes of the nervous system to determine what are the barriers to healing. How do we remove them? How do we then repair the body? There's nothing that I recommend as much to support mitochondrial repair and adrenal repair. And so if you're a current client and if any of this spoke to you, in terms of things that we can continue to build upon with your case and utilize, let's talk about it. And then if you're brand new to it all, start your journey today and reach out to us. We'd love to see if we could help you.